Hey guys, what's going on? James here, and in today's video we're going to be talking about 5 potential cap casualties for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, why did I only decide to pick 5 players out of all of the potential starters and backups that could possibly be replaced on this team? Well, I decided to pick 5 because I really feel that there are 5 really important cap casualty possibilities on this team to look at. The rest of the players, yes, while they are possible, they're not going to save a whole heck of a lot of money in terms of getting money for free agency, so I rather would leave them to other people, like the comment section. If you guys want to say anybody, let me know, and I'll just leave them for anybody else who wants to talk about them. But starting off with the first cap casualty that I want to talk about potentially, it is DeSean Jackson, the wide receiver. Now, in terms of statistics, DeSean Jackson did not have the worst year at all. Yes, he did have a ton of problems with Jameis Winston, which I'll talk about in a second here, but he did have some good moments with Ryan Fitzpatrick. The main reason that I feel DeSean Jackson is going to be a cap casualty for this team is because of the fact that he pretty much does not want to be on this team anymore. He's pretty much publicly expressed that he no longer wants to be on the Buccaneers. He wants to be on a playoff-ready team such as the Los Angeles Rams. That's one of the main teams that DeSean Jackson has said he wants to play for, as well as all of the problems that he's had with Jameis Winston, both on and off the field. Him and Jameis Winston just never seemed to link up. You know, Ryan Fitzpatrick did a way better job with DeSean Jackson than Jameis Winston. And I don't really knock Jameis for that. I kind of think it's just a situation that was never going to work out regardless of whether or not, you know, each player was on board or they weren't on board or anything like that. I just feel that that was a pairing that was never going to work out. But, you know, it was all these different types of things, and DeSean Jackson publicly calling for Ryan Fitzpatrick to start over Jameis Winston. The whole DeSean Jackson doesn't really think that Jameis Winston is a leader type narrative that's been going on these past couple of years. The fact that DeSean Jackson sold his house, among many other different types of things. It just shows that DeSean Jackson doesn't want to be on this team. So I feel that he's probably already asked for his release, all things considered. He's going to save around $10 to $11 million in cap money if he does end up getting released. And I think it's pretty much all but certain that he's going to be gone from this team. The next 2 guys that I want to mention real quick, I'm going to pair them together because they're pretty much the same type of player, just in very different situations. It is Mitch Unrein and William Golson. Now, when talking about Mitch Unrein first, you got to feel really bad for this guy because he has not even played a single down of regular season football for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The reason for this is because Mitch Unrein was suffering from really severe concussion-like symptoms that knocked him out for the entire year. I think that considering it's a concussion and whatnot, it could potentially end Mitch Unrein's career. Now, that's completely off of my head. You guys don't have to look into it because it's not being reported anywhere. That's just off the top of my head. But with how serious concussions and concussion-like symptoms have been lately, especially now that we've seen the long-term effects of what head injuries can do to football players, it might be a situation that might call for Mitch Unrein to retire. But even in the scenario that Mitch Unrein doesn't retire, I don't necessarily know if he has a spot on this team anymore, especially considering how, you know, he was just signed this past season and he didn't play a single down. That kind of goes to show that he might have a little bit of an injury problem. So all things considered, I think that the Buccaneers could get some healthier and overall younger and cheaper role player type options. I believe the Buccaneers would save around $3.5 million by cutting Mitch Unrein loose, so I think that it makes a lot of sense, although you do have to feel really bad for Unrein considering his injury history. And then mentioning William Golson real quick, you know, I will appreciate what William Golson has done for this team. He's been on the team 5 to 6 years, which is longer than most players on this team, okay? Fair credit to him. He's been on this team for a long time, and he's seen a whole heck of a lot of coaching staff changes. The problem is that William Golson, in my opinion, is a pretty decent role player in certain situations who's being overpaid for the job that he does. We're only a couple of years into that deal that William Golson signed a couple of years ago, the 5-year, $35 million deal, and he hasn't really proven to live up to that contract and the cost that it has been given the team. Now, I will say, fair credit, he is a really good run stopper, and back whenever he re-signed that contract, he looked like a run stopper, one of the top young run stopping options in the league who had potential to develop as a pass rushing defensive end as well. But since then, he's been very ineffective at the defensive end position. He moved to defensive tackle, where things admittedly did get a little bit better, but you're paying a defensive tackle high-end money just to be a fourth or fifth string defensive tackle. I think, again, much like in the case of Mitch Unrein, you can get younger and you can get overall better at that role player position, and I think ultimately it's going to cost William Golson his job. Much like Mitch Unrein, you can save around $3.5 million, so I think Golson's going to be another player who is just, you know, subject to the purge of backups and role players that will be replaced by role players and backups that the coaching staff is going to be more comfortable with. The next player I want to talk about is going to be defensive end Vinny Curry. Now, again, I like Vinny Curry. I like Mitch Unrein as well, but man, Vinny Curry has not lived up to the contract that he just signed this past offseason. Now, when Vinny Curry was signed, you know, there was a lot of hype, okay? A ton of hype. And fair credit to him, he didn't have the worst year, obviously. He didn't play the entire season, and whenever he was playing, he was kind of playing in a very rotational type role. And keep in mind, you know, a chunk of this year was played in a Mike Smith-esque defense, so that's going to damage a lot of these defenders' credibility and the production that they can do, so keep that one in mind. But with the type of contract that Vinny Curry signed this past offseason, we did not get anywhere close to the results that a lot of people expected. You know, me personally, I expected him to have 7, 8, maybe even as much as 9 sacks for this team, you know. Now, that role kind of went to Carl Nassib, the waiver claim, you know, the really young, hot defensive end that the Buccaneers got in the first couple of weeks of the regular season. Carl Nassib pretty much has completely overshadowed Vinny Curry in terms of overall production. So I think that's going to ultimately be a factor that costs Vinny Curry his job, because yes, while he didn't do terrible, he certainly did not live up to his contract. The Buccaneers can save a lot of money by getting rid of Vinny Curry this year, and I think they're going to end up pulling the trigger on it, especially considering how you have not just Jason Pierre-Paul there doing a decent job at the defensive end position, but you also have Carl Nassib there, who is a whole heck of a lot younger. I believe by 5 years, Carl Nassib is younger than Vinny Curry. He's also outperforming him as well. I think it's going to cost Vinny Curry his job, unfortunately. Finally, the last player I want to talk about, it's the biggest one on this list, okay? I have kind of refrained from talking about this player in this light, but a lot of you guys have been mentioning it, and I'm finally going to mention it for the purposes of this video. It's Gerald McCoy. Now, I still want Gerald McCoy to be on this team, but I do think it is a potential cap casualty for this team, you know? It makes a lot of sense in the form of saving money. You would save $13 million by cutting Gerald McCoy. And taking a look at his numbers, again, I still think he had a good season. I know a lot of other people who think he has a good season, but I also know a lot of other people who say, come on, James, we can save so much freaking money, and we can use that money to address other positions on the offense and on the defense. You know, right guard has a problem, the secondary has a problem. We can fix that with the money that we use by getting rid of Gerald McCoy. And yes, it does make a lot of sense. I still argue the point of saying it's going to create a big hole at the defensive tackle position, especially considering that you're getting rid of basically 3 defensive tackles, at least on my list of potential cap casualties, with guys like William Golson, Mitch Unrein, and Vinny Curry, who does shift sometimes inside to the defensive tackle position. So you're almost basically purging the entire defensive tackle position if you get rid of all of the guys that I've mentioned, and Gerald McCoy would be a big, big hole that would be created on this team. Now, you know, it's funny, I almost put Beau Allen on this list as a 6th member of this list, but I decided no, because I think Beau Allen's probably going to stay, because it would just literally be a black hole at the defensive tackle position besides, of course, Vita Vea, who insanely impressed the second half of his rookie season, but you got to have more than one really good defensive tackle, especially for the defense the Buccaneers are going to run. You're going to want to have at least 3, probably 4 good defensive tackles so you can have a nice continued rotation. So I think, you know, as much as I understand how much money it's going to save by cutting Gerald McCoy, you know, $13 million, it's going to save a ton of money. I still don't agree that, you know, it's the best best move for the team because it's going to create a big black hole at the defensive tackle position besides what Vita Vea is doing, but I do understand that it does make a lot of financial sense, and yes, I will admit that it is a pretty decent possibility. But I want to know what you guys think. Let me know what you think about all of the players that I listed down in the comment section below. What do you think is going to happen to each and every player that I listed? William Golson, Mitch Unrein, Vinny Curry, DeSean Jackson, and Gerald McCoy. Do you think they're going to stay, or do you think they're going to get cut and the Buccaneers are going to use that money at other positions on the team? What other players do you feel that are in danger of getting cut? Maybe you feel Bryan Anger's in danger of getting cut. Maybe you feel a wide receiver or two is in danger of getting cut. Maybe you feel that even guys like Cameron Brate or other certain players on the offense or defense are in danger of getting cut. Let me know what you think about all of this down in the comment section below. I want to thank you guys so much for watching this video. I'm going to be trying a lot of new stuff, not necessarily trying new stuff, but bringing back a lot of the stuff that I've been doing in the past. So you're going to be seeing this background a whole heck of a lot more. You're no longer going to see the closet, and I'm bringing back some of the After Effects visuals that I was using in the past. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Hope y'all enjoyed, and as always, I'll see you in the next video or the next live stream. But until then, and as always, goodbye for now, and go Bucs.